Hey there and welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of this honor mode walkthrough with our Dark Urge Halfling Bard Sylvia Hairyfoot. Last time we left off after exploring the Whispering Depths, a spider-infested cave beneath the blighted village smithy. We found the remains of a camp belonging to someone named Elliot, who was so fascinated by spiders that she turned herself into one, and soon after we fought the first enemies, 2 phase spiders and 2 ettercaps. The true test of our abilities then came in the form of the phase spider matriarch, Elliot's new self, and we absolutely crushed her. Back in camp, Astarion also revealed his vampiric nature to us, but we stood by him, and so he is still part of our troop. Now, today we leave the blighted village behind, and even though it more or less seamlessly transitions into the goblin camp, we are not going there just yet.
Killed a few giant bats in my day, Astarion, but never hunted a vampire.
Just to remind you, I'm merely a spawn. It won't count. But if you want a true vampire, I'm happy to recommend one.
Instead, after some chatter between Wyll and Astarion, we head back out into the forest to the east of the village.
Astarion, how is the rat diet going?
It may soon come to an end if you don't shut your mouth.
After more banter, we reach a stream that we can jump across to head north. Welcome to the Risen Road.
The blade of frontiers, Do you always need to be the center of attention?
Anything but. I don't fight to be flattered, Lae'zel. I fight to save lives. I'm feeling a bit parched and peckish.
Me too. Keep an eye out for any passing vagrants.
I'm afraid you'll have to content yourself with vagrant chickens.
Now, first of all, we want to head west until we come across a skeleton carrying the Smuggler's Ring, a perfect item for Astarion, boosting his stealth and sleight of hand at the cost of a minor charisma penalty. His bonuses to the 2 skills are now in double digits, and with that we can keep going, harvest some murgrass near the river crossing, and another bundle as we turn towards the east. Over by the rocks here we also find the very important Toll Collector's Key. Now at this point we could continue towards the southeast to advance Wyll's personal quest, but instead we head into the opposite direction first to pick up some autumn crocus growing by the wayside. Taking the path to the west we can harvest a second one and eventually find ourselves at the end of a bridge that has apparently seen a major battle.
Whatever killed those gnolls might be nearby. Careful.
Yes indeed, lots of dead gnolls here, and we heard about their presence before from the dead master of Scratch, the dog in our camp. In this stage they pose no threat however, and can instead be looted for hyena ears, a valuable ingredient in the crafting of speed potions. There's also a dead halfling or gnome lying between the gnolls, and eventually our path leads us to a building at the other end of the bridge. The carnage extends to it. With no one left alive to greet us, at least not on the outside, we continue to grab whatever we find and then head inside.
Cut it out. It's worse than Gnoll.
Nothing we need to worry about.
At ease, friend. You're welcome to rest here.
Right, looks like there are survivors after all, a well-armored human and his halfling companion. Let's see what they have to say.
Who's there? Please, keep your distance. You're welcome to shelter here, but we've grave injuries to tend to.
Now, the answer to the "who attacked you" question seems obvious after what we found outside. Let's ask it anyway, for a rather surprising result.
A devil, the most deadly foe we've yet encountered. We are Paladins of Tyr, Lord of Justice. He sent us after an infernal being, straight out of the 9 hells, hiding in the form of a one-horned tiefling.
One horn? Then you mean Karlach, Archdevil's bootlicker.
You know her, which means you know what the Fiend is capable of. She slaughtered countless refugees fleeing the Absolute. Yesterday, she butchered an entire family without mercy. We were lucky to survive our encounter with her.
This could be the work of a devil, but they collect souls through cunning, not carnage.
Right, so these guys are looking for Karlach, just like Wyll, but the religion check just told us that their description of her might not entirely fit a devil's profile.
Indeed, she's a uniquely vicious case. All the more reason she must be stopped.
Now, before agreeing to anything, let's learn more about Karlach's whereabouts. Maybe we can check her out for ourselves before rushing into a fight.
She ran toward the river when she saw we were merely wounded, not dead. Down the hill from here. She must pay for her crimes. If you capture her, you will have served Tyr where we could not. This is the sword of justice, blessed by Tyr. I've wielded it since I swore my oath. It's all I have, but it's yours if you stop her. Bring me her head, and Tyr will consider her crimes repaid.
And again, we show ourselves non-committal here. Perhaps we can gather more information first.
May the just God guide you.
Now, at this point, it is vital that we loot the place thoroughly. There are actually a few pieces of interest here that we want to collect, and conveniently enough, Anders and his band do not lay claim to any of it. Of particular interest are these crates on the top floor. They contain some weapons and armor. And then outside, don't ask me why the door isn't moving here, I have no idea, there is a soul coin right in the middle of the balcony. A book is hidden behind the barrel in the corner, this one just an excerpt from a raunchy play. And with that, we can return to the inside and loot the desk that Anders is standing next to. Apart from the usual writing equipment, there are also a few gold coins on the table. Again, Anders does not care in the slightest if we take them from right under his nose. Some beer, a plate, a book, and a single gold coin then in the southeastern corner of the room, and the halfling Trin is also standing here next to a hatch.
If you want to go poking around in the cellar, be my guest. Plug your nose first, though.
A curious way to start a conversation, but we'll bite. What's down there?
Corpse, half-rotted to mush. Must have been down there a 10-day or more.
Right, a corpse that we can speak to perhaps. Let's keep that in mind and ask her what this place actually is, or at least once was.
It was a toll house. By the time we arrived, it was more like a slaughterhouse. There's more monsters than coin moving down this road.
Sylvia then with the right conclusion. Toll house means money, so where might one find it?
There's a locked door down the hatch. Doesn't look like anyone's managed to get in. If there's any gold left, that's where it'll be.
Well, good thing we just picked up a key earlier, but we're not going down there just yet. Instead, let's head into the toll house's second room, where we are immediately greeted by a dead body. We'll speak to it later. For now, let's collect what little inventory they were carrying, and also help ourselves to a decent chunk of supplies. A full supply pack on the cupboard here, an apple inside of it, 2 bottles of Ithbank on the shelf, more stuff in the wardrobe, and after collecting a sword and a bow near the door, the barrel right next to it contains a variety of sausages. And that's not all. There's some cheese in a barrel directly opposite, more sausages in the barrel next to that, and with that, the supplies for our next long rest should already be secured. Speaking of rest, we can also take the bedrolls on the floor here and find a few more weapons over by the western wall. All in all, I once again recommend thoroughly looting the place. You can find a decent chunk of semi-valuable items here. And you also won't have to wait long to unload them and turn them into good old currency. Cyril over here is marked as a trader after all.
Need any supplies? We've fewer mouths to feed now.
And before we trade with her, let's ask about her side of the story.
The Lord of Justice sent us after a devil haunting this area. We squared off against her. We lost. Talk to Anders if you want the details. I don't have it in me to recount the horror.
Right, so she too seems focused on hunting Karlach, whose strength we might be able to gauge a little better by learning how many people were already slain.
2. Both stalwarts of Tyr, sworn to uphold justice.
Right, nothing we can do about that, so let's trade. Now, in anticipation of this conversation, I loaded up our companions with all sorts of stuff from our camp chest, enough to now unload about 1,200 gold worth of items, most of them complete and utter garbage. That's why it pays off to loot everything. We can now help ourselves to almost the entirety of Cyril's funds, an elixir of bloodlust, an extra action for killing someone, very handy, a scroll of mirror image, some holy water, arrows of acid, fire, ice, ill matter, and lightning, and another supply pack. Lovely. And with that, let's leave the toll house, at least for the moment. There is another dead body at the foot of the ladder here, a former toll collector carrying plenty of gold, but that's all for now. Let us now head back southeast, pick some belladonna and murgrass near the riverbank, and then approach our target for today's episode, Karlach, who we've heard so many stories about already.
One horn, the stink of Avernus, advocatus diaboli.
Well, I'll be God's damned. The Blade of Frontiers. Thought I'd shaken you for good. That'll teach me to underestimate you.
And indeed, there is little doubt, this is Karlach, the devil that both Wyll and the Paladins of Tyr are hunting.
Bloody right. An honor to be chased by the Blade of Frontiers, but I...
A great heat roars through you, her heat, fiery as the hells. Then you're lost in visions of demonic armies as you tear through a landscape of fire and blood, the Blood War. You saw it from above as the Nautiloid passed through Avernus. This woman was on the front line.
What was that?
Evidence. Proof that you're a devil. A gladiator in the archdevil Zariel's army.
I can explain, but it's a whole situation. If you just hear me out...
Another vision. Karlach's blade raised, slicing through devils, Zariel's servants, as her eyes dart around, seeking escape. Her rage and desperation seep into you. She is a victim of the Blood War, not an agent of it.
She's trying to trick us. Don't believe her lies.
You saw the truth. I never wanted to serve Zariel. I was enlisted in her army against my will. Forced to fight, and fight I did. When I saw an opportunity to get away, I took it. Finally home. Or near it, anyway.
You served her. That's enough to damn you.
Right, so looks like Karlach is not quite the vicious devil she has been made out to be. So no, we are not going to attack her. Instead, we might want to try to get her over to our side. After all, she seems quite capable.
Wyll catches his breath and his lips straighten. Sheer dread twists his face.
You don't know what you're saying. You're asking me to trust a devil.
Now, this here is a big moment for gaining approval with Wyll. A whopping 20 points can be gained by reiterating our point and making him stand down, which seems weird at first, considering that we are definitely not agreeing with him, but all will be revealed soon.
Listen to sense now. I don't want this to end badly for either of us. You know monsters, right? Better than anyone. Look into my eyes. Can't you see I'm not what you think?
Shit. You really are no devil, are you? I've been deceived.
Oh, thank the gods. Thought I was gonna have to take your head.
You would have died in the attempt. But there have been enough threats today.
Truce then, eh?
Aye. Truce.
I'm Karlach, but you already knew that. And you are...
And instead of simply stating our name, let's also bring the tadpole into play. Our quest to rid ourselves of them could be one more reason why Karlach might be interested in joining us.
Really now? First I catch a ride out of Avernus, then I stumble into a friend. Who's the goddess of luck again? I owe her a flower. Now that we're old pals, how would you feel about helping me kill some evil bastards? Little background if your moral compass needs something to point at. You already know I fought in the Blood War. I was good. Really good. It turns out,
I've got a knack for killing demons. That made me a valuable asset. Zariel, the archdevil herself, made me as her personal attack dog. I played along until I could get the fuck out of there. But devils don't like to lose their assets. Zariel liked it so little. She sent a bunch of goons, so-called Paladins of Tyr, to take me back. Problem is, I'm not going.
Right, so those paladins we have of course just met, and just to make sure, we do want them dead, yes?
Don't worry, I'll lead the charge. But I could use your help. There's a lot of them and only one of me. After that, we can team up. Take Faerun by the short hairs. Sound good?
A warrior who winks at her foes while she slays them. You'd be a fool to refuse her.
A rare moment of Lae'zel agreeing with something, that should be sign enough for us to agree. But then again, why would we want to stick our nose in the business of Karlach, and more importantly, a powerful archdevil?
Dirty work's the only kind I like. Gets even messier the more bodies you throw at it. Think of the potential.
Well, she has a way with words that I suppose speaks to a Dark Urge, that much is for certain. So let's agree, it's not like we have plenty of other options here.
Fuck yes! They cornered me outside the toll house just up the hill. Doubt they've gone far after the scorching I gave them.
Looks like your troops all trooped up. You'll need to send someone packing if you want me to join.
Right, now we want her to take Astarion's place, but only for a brief moment.
Oh, gladly. This circus is all yours, my friend.
Let's hop.
This whole plain reeks of it.
That'll wake you up of a fine day, won't it?
I do not need awakening. My senses are sharp as steel.
And here we are. Karlach has joined the party and the number of companions has grown to 6.
So, Wyll, now that we've made peace, how about we get to know each other properly? What's your story?
Not so much a story as a pantomime. And I've played my part all too poorly.
Right, can't say that I like the vagueness of that statement. Let's press him for more info on who actually sent Wyll on this hunt for Karlach, who is clearly not what he was told she'd be.
I would too. Go on, Wyll. We're listening. Who sicked you on me?
You're not the only one who's had a villain's knife held to your throat, Karlach.
You make it sound like a harvest of devils coming for you, Wyll.
You're closer than you know. One night soon when we make camp, the veil will be lifted, and I'll face my penance.
And penance sounds a little concerning. Let's find out whether there's any cause for us to be alarmed.
You're not in any danger, I promise. I can't say the same about me.
Okay, so we have another night at camp to look forward to, it seems. Until then, let us take a closer look at our latest party member. Karlach is a tiefling barbarian, resistant to fire damage and able to channel her rage to become a powerful combatant. As a barbarian, she's also perfectly fine without armor, able to add both her dexterity and her constitution modifiers to her AC. Now, let's level her up. This will be quick. At level 2, barbarians only get the danger sense feature, advantage on most dexterity saves, as well as reckless attacks, the ability to attack with advantage at the cost of enemies also having advantage. At level 3, Karlach gets a race-specific feature, the Searing Smite, a once-per-long rest attack that deals an extra 2d6 fire damage, and we're also able to pick a subclass. And we will stick with Berserker here. Not only does it fit Karlach thematically, but it is also very powerful mechanically. Meanwhile, the Giant subclass is great if you just want to overpower enemies and throw them around. Don't worry though, we will be able to do that too. Wild-Heart Barbarians, meanwhile, can gain a wide variety of bonuses based on the beast they mold themselves after. Too much to go into here. And Wild Magic is the subclass that allows Barbarians a little spellcasting. None of them are really bad in my opinion, but Berserker fits and is powerful, so why change it? This subclass upgrades Karlach's Rage to a Frenzy, and unlocks the Frenzied Strike and Frenzied Throw actions, both attacks that only consume a bonus action. And as you know, I'm all about the action economy, so that's absolutely fantastic. At level 4 then, it's time to pick a feat, and Karlach will be the first candidate who does not get the ability score improvement. Instead, the Baldur's Gate 3 veterans among you may have seen this coming, we are picking Tavern Brawler. For strength-based classes like the Barbarian, this is a stupidly powerful feat, as it adds their strength modifier twice to both damage and attack rolls made with improvised or thrown weapons, and we even get a 1-point ability score improvement on top of that to boost Karlach's strength to 18 for a +4 modifier. For equipment then, we stick to her starting loadout, but give her the Braces of Defense for a +2 bonus to her armor class while she's not wearing armor. That synergizes nicely. Then we head to camp and grab an assortment of throwable weapons from the party chest. The thrown weapon property is important here, as those are the only weapons that can be thrown while still benefiting from Karlach's strength and proficiency bonuses. Once all the items have been collected, we can then go around and listen to our party for their opinions on our latest recruit.
Karlach and Wyll seem to have put their differences aside. I thought it was going to come to blows for a moment.
A devil and devil hunter standing shoulder to shoulder against a common enemy. Rather poetic, I think.
Karlach's got the brawn of a warrior and the wiles of a survivor. Best of all, she speaks her mind plainly and fully. Show her due respect.
I thought we were going to see some real sparks fly between Wyll and Karlach. It's almost a pity things ended so amicably. Seeing those two duke it out would be fun.
Right, now as you can see, we've swapped Astarion back into the party, taking Wyll's place. Lae'zel has also re-equipped the Everburn Blade, while Karlach can switch from the Great Axe to the Maul for a minor 1-point increase to her minimum damage output. You can also see her arsenal of throwables here. Those will come in handy, I'm sure. For now, let's cast Longstride on her. I think Shovel also has not yet received the spell, and with that, we are ready to return to the wilds, where Karlach immediately wishes to speak to us.
Hey, we're still going after those paladins, right? Can't leave Zariel's bruisers roaming the coast.
Our quick stop at the camp apparently casting doubts in her mind, and maybe that's not such a bad thing. Perhaps it would suit her well to leave all of this in the past.
Not really. I'd rather send Zariel a message to leave me the fuck alone.
Well, I think that's a stance we can sympathize with, and we wouldn't want to disappoint our latest recruit, so let's agree to take care of business swiftly, as that is indeed the plan for today.
Good news. Can't wait to see him finished.
Right, and with that, we are in fact making our way back to the tool house now. However, before we enter, let us speak with the dead toll collector down by the ladder here.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
And as always, we begin by asking who we're talking to.
Vance. Toll collector.
Then we want to know how he died.
Jumped. To escape. Broken.
If there are any valuables in the area.
Gold. Basement. Locked.
Where we might find the key. Spoiler, we already have it.
I fell. Dropped key.
And finally, where he was heading.
Anywhere. Away. Safety.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Right, now the takeaway here is that he jumped willingly to his death to escape something. Let's head up the ladder and speak to the dead refugee in the toll house storage room next to perhaps find out more.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
And once again, we begin with the question of identity.
I've forgotten. Why?
An infernal servant? That's interesting, so no Paladin of Tyr after all. But how did he die?
Zariel's brute destroyed me.
Right, now this confirms that Karlach and the people in here did have a fight already, and that they know about Zariel wanting her back. Let's ask about how they managed to kill a pack of gnolls next.
The pact. Power.
Right, a pact is mentioned, and I think you can already guess with whom it was made.
Fallen. Lady Zariel.
This is pretty much confirmation that the so-called Paladins of Tyr are lying, but we have one more question. Let's find out why the pact was made in the first place.
Power. Strength.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Right, so it is pretty clear from this conversation that the current inhabitants of the Tall House are not who they say they are, which means that they want to return Karlach to the Archdevil Zariel, and we probably do not want them to succeed. However, we are not going to attack them right away, even though a fight is likely inevitable. To prepare for what comes next, we can move Lae'zel and Astarion up onto the high ground and have them hide, while Sylvia, with Karlach in tow, approaches Anders.
Please, no more. Leave us in peace and we shall leave you in kind.
Cut the crap, Anders. I know what you are.
Don't let her hurt us. Please, we just want to go home.
Now, to get the most out of this conversation, we do not want to accuse him of being Zariel's servant straight away. Instead, let's have him come up with a good story about his identity himself.
I'll tell you whatever you wish to know. Just let us live, please.
This is rich. They serve the Archdevil Zariel. Biggest liar in all the realms. Seems her servants have picked up some of Mummy's tricks. Believe me, these sneaky fucks won't stop till they have me hog-tied at her feet.
It isn't true. Half of us are badly injured, the other half dead. I admit we ambushed you. An assignment from our god, Tyr. We thought you a devil, and with your flames you proved us right. But Tyr will not consign us to our death. He is merciful. Leave us, and we'll leave you.
Now, at this point, it is actually very important that we pick the leave them in peace option here, even though we of course do not plan on doing that.
You can't possibly believe this shit. Go on if you want, but I can't.
That's right, Karlach. So now, as in the hells, I can see why her ladyship wants a murderous brute like you back.
Right, and with that, Anders has officially spilled the beans, and no matter what we choose next, a fight is about to break out. Since Anders is a tough opponent, it's better to get ahead of things, and in order to do so, we utilize the switch character button at the bottom left of the screen to get to Astarion and Lae'zel, who are still hidden and therefore not part of this conversation. That means Astarion can now launch a sneak attack, and we gain surprise for our first round of combat. Even better, for some reason the game does not actually add him to the initiative. Only Sylvia and Karlach have officially joined the fight, so Astarion gets a second action for free. Now, this is admittedly a little cheesy, and honestly I wish this would be fixed, but the plan for this fight does not really rely on it either, so I think we can see past this. The most important thing is that we begin the fight with surprise, so that we avoid Anders in particular. He is not too tough to take down, but hits very hard, able to strike twice per turn, and he is a paladin, so he can pump in those smites too. Trin is a tiny bit tougher to hit, but only sports 41 hit points, and no other special abilities, while Cyril obviously also belongs to this group, but with an AC of only 10, she should not pose too much trouble. So then, let's get to it, and fittingly, we strike first with Karlach, but instead of a weapon attack, we are going to have her frenzy, and then use the halfling Trin as an improvised weapon against Anders. Yes, that's possible, it's awesome, and I will never get tired of it. Both the pickup and the throw succeed. Our Tavern Brawler feat comes into play here. Anders takes 10 points of damage, and Trin is now prone on the ground, and we have just unlocked the Kill 2 Birds with 1 Gnome achievement. Prone on the ground, Trin is now the perfect target for Lae'zel, who can move in to strike with a menacing attack for extra damage. That connects for 20 points, but we're not done yet. Let's action surge and strike again. And there we go, 24 points of damage, and the first of 3 enemies has been defeated. Wonderful. With her bonus action, Lae'zel can now even pommel strike Anders, and that succeeds as well, leaving him dazed and below half health. Astarion is next then. Again, I wish he wasn't, but he can freely hide again, and this time cast Hunter's Mark first. Doing that to start the fight will usually not gain surprise. Not quite sure why that is though. With the target marked, he can then strike with his sneak attack a second time, and I only now realize that hiding earlier was completely pointless, as casting Hunter's Mark broke stealth immediately, and the sneak attack here would have been possible anyway because of Lae'zel threatening Anders in melee range. Either way, we deal 20 damage and Anders is in range for an offhand melee strike too, and that hits, removing his last 5 hit points. From his body we can now loot the very useful Sword of Justice, a great sword infused with the Tyr's protection spell, allowing its wielder to increase their armor class once per long rest. To end his turn, we move Astarion towards the door here and bring Sylvia into play, who will first of all strike Zariel with a bonus action offhand shot from her crossbow. That connects for 5 points of damage, and at this point there is a good chance a slashing flourish takes her down. Let's see if it does. Alright, lovely. The Paladins of Tyr have been defeated in one swift surprise round. Lae'zel has gained an inspiration for killing them, and Karlach has something to get off her chest.
Fuck them. Fuck Zariel. I won't go back. I'm never going back. And if any of Mummy's little friends want to pick up where the others left off, they'll find nothing but a pile of ash.
Now, our dialogue options here boil down to various ways of agreeing with her tearing this place apart and vowing to help her retain her freedom. However, before we pick any of them, let us once again switch characters and move Lae'zel, Astarion, and Shovel to the outside, just so they are safe from what comes next. Then we promise Karlach that we'll make sure that Zariel does not get her back.
That's right, she won't. She can't. She couldn't even lay a finger.
Now, for the next 10 turns, so about a minute, Karlach will rampage through the tall house, destroying random objects in her path and leaving a fiery trail behind her. That's why it is so important to loot the place before the fight, otherwise items and lootable containers could no longer exist afterwards, and it is also the reason why we have moved the rest of the party out of the building, so that they do not accidentally stand in the fire and take damage. Eventually then, with about 1 turn left on her unbridled wrath condition, we want to enter turn-based mode to protect Karlach herself. What we want to do here is use Sylvia to throw a bottle of water at her feet, so that she receives the wet condition and cannot burn. Why? Well, because as soon as her wrath wears off, Karlach enters the running hot state and will take fire damage, if that is not prevented this way.
That ought to do it. Whew. Had to let off a little steam after facing off with those ignots. Granted, the fire's lasting a little longer than it should.
How do I look?
And well, we can both flirt a bit and gain some approval by picking option 2 here. Hot.
Careful, soldier. If I burn any hotter, I might explode. Hear that? Infernal engine for a heart. Lets me burn as hot as the hells. Seems to be running in overdrive since I left Avernus. Won't be seeing my mechanic anytime soon, so I'll just make the most of the extra heat. Just don't get too close, till I've found a way to calm it down.
And I suppose an infernal engine for a heart is something we should ask about. So how did that come to be?
High pain tolerance, and a dynamic duo of truly shitty bosses. But it's a bit early in the game to be getting into tragic backstories. Let's save the Scar show for later, after we've worked up an appetite for tragedy. Meanwhile, I'll need to find someone who can tune up my engine sooner rather than later. Believe me when I say this thing is hot. The first time I faced down those Paladins, they let slip there was an infernal mechanic in the area. A tiefling. He might be able to stabilize things, if I can find him.
And indeed, we have met someone who might fit that description, the tiefling blacksmith Demon back in the Emerald Grove.
A weaponsmith, huh? Not sure if he's the guy, but I'd love to find out. A tune-up would do this rusty heart a world of good.
Alright, here we are then. Karlach's still running hot, but her fiery trail has vanished, and she has also not taken any damage throughout it all, so our streak lives on. Doing the entire encounter this way is, in my opinion, the best way to ensure you don't take damage, although it does also mean missing out on a big approval bonus for Karlach for attacking Anders and his party through dialogue. But there will be plenty more opportunities to gain approval later. For now, let's keep going. After all, we still have the Tollhouse basement to explore. Just like Trin told us earlier, a dead body lies down here. Let's speak to it and see what we can find out.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
And as always, question 1 is about who we're speaking to.
Toll collector, Martin.
Then we want to learn how this toll collector died.
Goblins. Laughing. Cutting.
And why he was in the basement and not upstairs.
Hiding. Frightened.
Finally, we can also ask whether he was alone. Perhaps we can find another toll collector deeper in the basement.
Gods abandoned me and Vance.
Right, now Vance we already found, which means up next we want to loot the basement. As always, I recommend being thorough here. Despite being a relatively small space, there is plenty of stuff to be found. In this starting room, several different weapons can be obtained from chests and crates. There is a shield on a crate in the corner here, and a few camp supplies can also be found. Finally, toll collector Martin also carries some loot, gold and the Tollhouse ledger, from which we can learn that over the last days of his life, the situation near the Tollhouse became worse and worse, with the toll collectors eventually preparing to abandon post, but seemingly a little too late.
I've spotted a trap. Move with purpose.
Using the key we found back outside at the beginning of the episode, we can now open the locked door and immediately spot some traps behind it. At this point, let's switch to Astarion. He's got the highest perception bonus in our current party.
Traps. How considerate.
Once again, the room is chock full with crates and barrels, and some of them contain some pretty valuable stuff, like bronze and silver ingots, for example. In a chest in the southeastern corner, some jewelry can be found, gold and a healing potion in the chest right above it, and a big gold treasure in the chest a little further to the left. The rest of the room contains mostly rags and other junk items. The potions in the crates in the middle here are randomized, I think. We obtain simple toxin and a mind-reading potion, and a potion of invisibility and a basic poison a little later. Again, take your time here. Even a simple rag is worth a gold piece, and over time it all adds up. Eventually, though, we open the gate into the next chamber. Here, more vents on the ground greet us, and even though Astarion does not pass all perception checks, they are easy to spot for us, and actually not all that dangerous for the time being. As you can see, we can simply walk over them without anything happening. This room here once again contains a few items of interest, some weaponry, a few potions and poisons, some camp supplies, even though most of them have already spoiled, as well as a book about the leadership of the Zentarim that I believe we may have actually read before. The desk also contains your usual writing equipment, as well as beer and water, and that's about all there is in this chamber.
Seems I've done something, but not enough.
As we approach the stone chair next to the table, then we hear a clicking, and indeed it's pretty clear that the wall here contains another secret door, a door that we can open by activating the pressure plates on those two chairs, for example by putting vases on top of them. Of course, having someone sit in them would also work. Now, since Astarion failed his perception check into the next room, we call upon the rest of the squad to join us, but they all fail theirs as well. Unfortunately for them, our eyes still work fine, and it's clear that a large pressure plate is on the floor directly behind the door, so let's jump it to stay safe and proceed with this final chamber of the cellar.
A trap. Someone doesn't like visitors.
This one contains the good stuff, plenty of weapons, healing potions in the shelf in the corner here, and a chest with the gloves of heroism, unfortunately only benefiting a paladin, so we might just feed them to Gale, or hope that a paladin will join us later. Who's to say our squad is full already? Plenty more weapons and gear then on and above the table next to the chest. A traveler's chest on the shelf to its left also contains some jewelry, while gold and a silver ingot are found in the gilded chest next to that. Arguably the most important item, however, is found in the middle of the room. No, not the greatsword or the quarterstaff, but the +1 great axe here. This is a fantastic weapon for Karlach if the Everburn blade is to remain on Lae'zel, and with all of the items from this room collected, we have now cleared out the toll house and its cellar and can return to the surface.
What's so funny? You haven't got some laughing curse, have you?
I really made it out of Avernus. It's incredible.
All right, just keep it down. We're conspicuous enough without your hyena call.
After the first bit of party banter involving Karlach, we can now head outside. There's some crates next to the toll house that contain supplies, as well as the gory remains of a fight behind the house, but nothing can be looted here, so let us keep going north.
Bodies everywhere. Accident or sabotage?
Sylvia remarks upon the carnage around, and we also find a waypoint for fast traveling, as well as a dirt mound, thanks to Lae'zel being the only one succeeding her survival check.
That's curious.
Inside the chest, an arrow of lightning and some gold, and with that I think it's time for today's chapter to come to an end.
Is this your first time on the Sword Coast, Lae'zel?
Yes. It is much more lively than the Githyanki slates led me to believe.
Just wait till you see Baldur's Gate. You'll never want to leave.
With Karlach and Lae'zel getting to know each other, we'll wrap things up right here. In between episodes, I'll think about whether or not it makes sense to already take a long rest. If we do though, that would trigger several lengthy cutscenes that would put this episode over the limit of what I think is suitable. So either way, you have something to look forward to next time. Until then, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or become a channel member or Patreon supporter. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.